etc. Now it is interesting, right? We always have to remember that other people do get to have bad days, and it's interesting with human nature. And there's a psychological principle for that, and it's escaped me what the name is. But when we make a mistake, we think it's circumstances. When someone else makes a mistake, we think it's their character. So we let ourselves off the hook, saying it was circumstances that led me to do that, but we won't let them off the hook because we're sure it's a character flaw of some sort. And it's probably a little bit of both with both them and with us, but we tend to break it apart pretty easily, unfortunately. And so this idea of mercy is really important because when our partner has a bad day and it's just off and things are not working well, and maybe they lost their cool or said something completely inappropriate, who knows what it might be. There's a way in which, that again, we don't want to say there's no accountability for it, but how are we going to come at that? Are we going to come at it that we're always in the right, they're always in the wrong? Any mistakes we make are purely about the circumstances. Any mistakes they make are purely about their character. How do we sort of switch that and start to see it a little bit more as God would have us see it? That's where we get to this beautiful passage. The passage comes from this ancient biblical story, and it's about this woman, Rebecca, and this man comes along, and she's going to end up marrying him. That's the end of the story here. But what happens is she decides to water his camels. Ancient story, thousands of years old. Not that it's a way to meet somebody today watering their camel, but that's not the way it was back then. And there's this beautiful internal sense to it as she offers water to his camels. And what it's talking about here is doing mercy. And this is from Secrets of Heaven 3073. It's about Rebecca and Isaac. Doing mercy simply symbolizes marriage, and therefore marriage is a result of divine love. These words constitute the end of the servant's prayer and its whole purpose. It's a beautiful idea that this idea of mercy becoming that's a big part of the whole point of this life. Then a big part of marriage. And here, if you're not married, or think of your significant other. If you don't have a significant other, think of those who you're really close to, friends and family. And so much of life is, again, coming at it with this much softer view around mercy. And as we say a lot, and this is courtesy of Walter Brueggemann, he was a famous Old Testament scholar, and he said the word mercy in Hebrew deals with womb-like mother love. And I just love that idea of you're cradling somebody, you're holding them in times that are hard, in ways that are just a miracle. And that's where we have to be merciful versus judgmental. Merciful versus judgmental. And people will know it. And it is always interesting, friends. They might not know it in the moment. There might not be this instant I'm being a jerk, you're being nice to me, my apologies. Usually that's not going to happen in the moment. But don't be too surprised to see it happen within the next 24 hours. And just think of where the two directions go. Again, I could be very judgmental. I could be very harsh. I could be very much the only mistakes I make are because of circumstances. But it's obviously all character flaws. If I live like that in my relationships, it's going to be extremely off-putting, and it's not going to help to grow the relationship. Add a lot of judgment in there, not going to be helpful at all. Again, doesn't mean we don't have accountability, doesn't mean we can't say the things we need to say, but it means that we have to come from a different place. And that different place is always this idea of mercy, this idea of womb-like mother love, this idea of this gentle holding of another person and really looking to serve them. And again, it's kind of this very, very archaic example of a woman, watering camels. Again, nobody who's watching this, I don't think, is going to go out and prove their love language to their dearly beloved by watering their camels today. I don't think so. But there's the underlying part of it of what would I say? I would say today. All right, here you go. Here's your takeaway. Today, how about we just all embrace a little inconvenience for our loved ones? Embrace a little inconvenience for our loved ones and allow that to be an example of mercy, just that womb-like mother love. And it's not mercy, again, It's not mercy. When you look at it biblically, it's not mercy as like a king on high and here's the peasant and I'm going to be merciful to this person who's lower than me. No, it's this womb-like mother love. It's very much at the same level that we're trying to have this gentleness, this compassion, this softness of our lives that's going to be able to hold another person even when they're having bad days, because Lord knows we're going to need the same when we are having bad days. And that's where, remember the saying, let it begin with me first. Let it begin with me first. So I hope that makes sense, friends, and I hope that gives you a lot of, energy into the weekend. A little public service announcement. We are traveling over to South Africa today. We will be preaching in Johannesburg on Sunday. We will be preaching in Durban next Sunday. These are places we've preached at before. We have some New Church Live people in that area, believe it or not, which is really fun. So if you are watching this from overseas and you happen to be in those areas, please feel free to join us. It would be great to meet you and get a chance to put a name and a face together. So I hope that makes sense. All right, dear friends. So let's get a little breath, a little meditation, a little prayer as we come down on our gentle landing, and then we'll see you again next week. This time we'll be having these sent out from South Africa, which will be a lot of fun. So let's first off get a little breath. And a prayer bell. And a meditation from the Old Testament. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. All right, dear friends, let's take a little look and say a quick hello to anyone who might be joining us this morning on 10 Minutes of Morning Calm. And again, I hope you folks have a wonderful, wonderful weekend ahead for you. Marcus, good morning to you. Buddy, always great to see you joining us. Yeah, I'll flip on over to here. Alrighty, dighty. Just giving a nanosecond here. All right, wishing you safe travels. Well, thank you, Sherry. It's going to be a lot of fun, that's for sure. And Frank, always good to see you, buddy. Wonderful to see you joining us this morning. So, friends, wishing you a great weekend. God bless. May you all have a wonderful time ahead of you. Take care.